The Shadow Falls the morning shift at Kepler Station had started like any other. Traders from a dozen worlds haggled over rare minerals in the marketplace. Diplomatic envoys shared meals in the neutral zone. Children of various species played. Together in the recreation areas, their different forms of laughter creating a symphony of joy got, then the sensors screamed. Admiral Crix was enjoying his daily meditation when the emergency klaxons shattered the peaceful atmosphere. His compound eyes snapped open, multifaceted vision immediately focusing on the priority alert flashing across his personal display. The insectoid commander's forearms moved with practiced efficiency, activating communication channels and defense. Protocols simultaneously. Report, he chittered into his communicator, his translator converting the clicks and buzzes into standard galactic. Sir, massive energy signature detected at the edge of the system, came the voice of Lieutenant Yara, one of his most trusted officers. It's unlike anything in our databases. The ship is ... Admiral. You need to see this. Crix scuttled through the corridors of Kepler Station, his clawed feet clicking against the metal flooring. The station buzzed with activity as various species hurried to their emergency stations. The Kepler Coalition had been formed 50 years ago as a peaceful trading hub, bringing together 12 different civilizations in harmony. They had defenses, yes, but they had never faced a real threat. The command center fell silent as Crix entered. On the main holographic display, a ship hung in space like a dark omen. It was massive beyond comprehension, stretching 15 kilometers from bow to stern. Its hull was a matte black that seemed to absorb light, and weapon ports dotted its surface like the eyes of some ancient predator. By the Seven Suns, whispered Counselor Vex, the station's Mentari mediator. Her pale blue skin had turned almost white with fear. What kind of beings build such a monster? The ship dwarfed everything in the system. The largest coalition vessel, a Vorthan heavy cruiser, looked like a toy beside it. Energy readings showed power levels that could obliterate planets. Weapon. Signatures suggested firepower capable of cracking moons. Have they responded to our hails? Crix asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Nothing, sir. Complete radio silence. For 3 hours, the massive ship sat motionless at the system's edge. Trade routes ground to a halt. Civilian vessels fled to the far side of the system. Emergency councils convened on every coalition world. Then, it moved. The ship didn't accelerate gradually like normal vessels. One moment it was distant, the next it was sliding through space with impossible grace for something so large. It approached Kepler Station with deliberate slowness, as if its occupants were studying everything in their path. Sir, Lieutenant Yara called out, her voice tight with stress. We're receiving a transmission. The main display shifted, and suddenly, they were looking at something none of them had ever seen before. The being on screen was bipedal, with pale skin and strange hair covering only the top of its head. Its eyes were small and focused, lacking the multiple pupils common to most intelligent species. When it spoke, its mouth moved in patterns that seemed almost primitive. This is Captain Sarah Chun of the United Earthship Defiant, the creature said. Its voice was steady, but carried an undertone of exhaustion. We request permission to approach your station. We are not here for conquest or trade. We seek only shelter and perhaps friendship. The command center erupted in whispers, and clicks as the various species present tried to process what they were seeing. This was first contact with an entirely new civilization, one with technology that surpassed anything in the coalition. Counselor Vex stepped forward, her telepathic abilities reaching out tentatively. Admiral, I sense no deception from this being. There is great sadness, though, and desperation. Captain Chun continued, I know our ship must seem threatening. We built it during darker times, when our very survival was at stake. But we come in peace. My name is Sarah Chun, and I speak for the human race. Humans. The word felt strange in Crix's mind. Another bipedal species, but clearly different from the others they knew. The ship's size made more sense now, perhaps. These humans were massive beings requiring enormous vessels. Captain Chun, Crix replied, activating the station's transmitter. This is Admiral Crix of the Kepler Coalition. Your vessel is ... impressive. We must ask your intentions before we can consider your request. The human's expression changed, and for a moment, something raw and painful flashed across her features. We are refugees, Admiral. Our world is gone. Our solar system is ash. We escaped with what we could, seeking a new home, new allies. We have much to offer, but we ask for nothing more than the chance to prove ourselves. The admission sent shockwaves through the command center. This massive warship, this technological marvel, was filled with refugees? Crix's tactical mind raced. If these humans were truly fleeing something, what could be powerful enough to destroy beings capable of building such vessels? You may approach. Captain Chun, Crix decided. But understand, our defense fleet will escort you. Any hostile action will be met with overwhelming force. A sound came from the human that the translator identified as laughter, though it held no humor. Admiral, if we intended harm, your defense fleet would already be debris. We appreciate the escort, but it's unnecessary. We've had enough of violence. As the U.E.'s Defiant moved closer to Kepler Station, its true enormity became apparent. The ship could have housed the entire station within its hull. Docking bays large enough for capital ships dotted its sides. Weapon arrays that could level continents tracked space around them with mechanical precision. But it was not weapons that drew the most attention from the Coalition observers. It was the scars. The ship's hull bore the marks of tremendous battles. Sections had been rebuilt with different materials. Armor plating showed the characteristic melting of high-energy impacts. This vessel had seen war on a scale none of them could imagine. Dr. Zara Okafor materialized on the communication channel beside Captain Chun. She was smaller than the captain, with darker skin and eyes that seemed to hold vast intelligence. Greetings, Admiral Crix. I am Dr. Okafor, Chief Science Officer and Diplomatic Liaison. We understand this situation is unusual. Perhaps we could arrange a meeting? Face to face, as it were. Counselor Vex's telepathic senses reached out again, touching the minds of both humans. What she found there made her gasp. Admiral, these beings ... they carry such pain. Losses beyond counting, but also hope. Incredible hope and determination. The meeting was arranged in Kepler Station's largest conference chamber. When the human delegation arrived, the assembled coalition representatives got their first close look at the newcomers. Humans were smaller than expected, averaging 2 meters in height. They moved with fluid grace, despite their apparently primitive bipedal design. Most striking were their eyes, which seemed to convey emotions with startling clarity. Captain Chun entered first, her uniform crisp despite obvious wear. Dr. Okafor followed, carrying what appeared to be data storage devices. Behind them came 2 more humans, one clearly a military officer, the other wearing the robes of what might be a scientist or philosopher. Thank you for meeting with us, Captain Chun began without preamble. I know our arrival has caused alarm. Let me be direct about our situation. She activated a holographic projector, and suddenly the chamber filled with images of a blue and green world orbiting a yellow star. Cities of glass and metal stretched across continents. Ships moved between. Planets in a complex dance of commerce and exploration. This was Earth, Dr. Okafor said softly. Our homeworld. Population: 12 billion humans across 4 planets and dozens of space habitats. The images shifted, showing the same system under attack. Massive, organic-looking ships swarmed through. Space like locusts. The human vessels fought bravely, but they were overwhelmed. Planets burned, space stations crumbled. The final image showed Earth itself, cracked and lifeless, its atmosphere stripped away. The Devourers came without warning, Captain Sean continued, her voice steady despite the horror of the images. We don't know where they originated. They consume everything, organic and inorganic alike. Entire star systems vanish into there. Maz, we fought for 3 years. We lost everything. Admiral Crix felt his exoskeleton tighten with fear. How many of you escaped? The Defiant carries 50,000 souls, Dr. Okafor replied. We know of 2 other ships that made it out. That's all that remains of humanity. 3 ships against the dark. The chamber fell silent. The coalition representatives struggled to process the magnitude of the loss. An entire civilization, reduced to 3 ships fleeing across the galaxy. Why should we believe you? Asked Commander Thale, the coalition's chief military officer. His reptilian features showed deep suspicion. You arrive with the most powerful ship we've ever seen. Tell us a tragic tale, and expect us to welcome you with open arms? Captain Shun nodded as if she had expected the question. Because, Commander, the Devourers are still coming. They follow our trail like bloodhounds. Sooner or later, they will find us. And when they do, you'll need all the help you can get. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Counselor Vex, her telepathic abilities fully engaged, suddenly stiffened. I sense them, she whispered. Something vast and hungry, approaching from the void. Monsters and Heroes. The command center of Kepler Station transformed into a hurricane of activity. Admiral Crix's compound eyes tracked dozens of displays simultaneously as reports flooded in from the outer sensor networks. What they showed defied comprehension and filled every being present with primal terror. 47 contacts and rising, Lieutenant Yara reported, her voice barely controlled. They're emerging from hyperspace in formation. Energy signatures are... Admiral, these readings can't be accurate. But they were accurate. The Devourers had arrived. Captain Sean stood beside Admiral Crix, her human face grim but determined. How long until they reached the station? At current speed, 18 hours, came the reply from the tactical officer. Through the command center's massive viewports, the distant flashes of the Devourer fleet were visible as pinpricks of sickly light. Even at this distance, their very presence seemed to corrupt the starfield around them. We need to evacuate immediately, Commander Thale declared, his reptilian hands already reaching for the general evacuation protocols. All civilian populations, non-essential personnel, everyone who can't fight. No, Captain Chun said quietly, but her voice carried such authority that the chatter in the command center stopped. Running won't save them. The Devourers are faster than anything you have. They'll hunt down every refugee ship, every escape pod. The only chance is to make a stand here. Dr. Okafor stepped forward, her dark eyes reflecting the tactical displays. Captain, are you suggesting we trust our lives to beings we met 6 hours ago? It was Counselor Vex who answered, her telepathic senses reaching out to touch the human minds present. They speak truth. I sense no deception, only grim certainty born of terrible experience. Admiral Crix made the decision that would echo through galactic history. We fight together. Captain Shun, what do you need? The next few hours passed in. A blur of preparation. The human ship, U-East Defiant, revealed capabilities that staggered the coalition observers. Weapon systems that could tear apart asteroids. Shields that could withstand the fury of a star. Manufacturing capabilities that produced ammunition and spare parts in real time. But it was not just technology that impressed the aliens. It was the humans themselves. Dr. Okafor worked tirelessly with coalition scientists, sharing tactical data about the Devourers. Her knowledge was encyclopedic, gained through 3 years of desperate warfare. She spoke of devourer weaknesses with the precision of someone who had studied death itself. "They're organic machines," she explained to a mixed group of coalition engineers. "Silicon-carbon hybrids that convert matter directly into energy. Their hulls regenerate damage, but they're vulnerable to specific frequencies of electromagnetic radiation." Meanwhile, Captain Sean coordinated with Admiral Crix to position the coalition fleet. Her strategic mind was clearly brilliant, seeing patterns and possibilities that others missed. She treated the alien commanders not as inferiors, but as valued allies whose unique capabilities could make the difference between victory and extinction. "Your Vorthan heavy cruisers have excellent maneuverability," she told Commander Thale. "We'll use that. The Devourers expect prey to run or fight desperately. They don't expect coordinated tactics." As the enemy fleet drew closer, their true horror became apparent. The Devourer ships were massive, twisted things that seemed to writhe through space like living creatures. Their hulls were a diseased gray-green color that hurt to look at directly. Energy discharges crackled between them like neural pathways in some cosmic brain. The lead ship was the largest, easily matching the U.E. Defiant in size. As it approached, it broadcast a signal that bypassed all translation protocols and spoke directly to the primitive fear centers of every sentient brain in the system. "We are hunger. We are ending. We consume all. Resistance brings only suffering." Captain Chun's response was broadcast on all frequencies, her human voice clear and defiant. "This is Captain Sarah Chun of the United Earthship Defiant. You destroyed our home. You murdered our families. You turned our children to ash. Today, you learn what happens when humanity has nothing left to lose." The battle began with the Devourer's signature weapon, streams of energy that converted matter directly to plasma. 3 coalition frigates simply ceased to exist, their atoms scattered across the void. But this time, the defenders were ready. The U.E.'s Defiant moved with impossible grace for something so large, its weapons systems unleashing hell upon the enemy. Beams of coherent energy, precisely tuned to disrupt Devourer biomechanics, carved through their formations. Missiles with quantum warheads exploded in precise patterns, creating interference fields that prevented the enemy from regenerating damage. The coalition fleet fought with courage, born of desperation, their smaller ships dancing between the titans, delivering precise strikes to exposed Devourer systems. Admiral Crix commanded from the station's defense center, his tactical abilities enhanced by real-time data from the human ship's advanced sensors. But the Devourers adapted quickly. Their organic technology evolved in real time, developing resistance to human weapons. More ships emerged from hyperspace, and the defenders found themselves outnumbered 3-1. It was then that humanity showed its true nature. Captain Sean made a decision that no other species would have considered. She ordered the U.E.'s Defiant to ram the enemy flagship, using her ship's massive bulk as a weapon. But this was not a suicide charge. At the last moment, the human ship's emergency teleportation systems activated, beaming the entire crew to safety aboard coalition vessels. The impact was catastrophic. The Defiant's antimatter core, set to overload, created a miniature star in the heart of the Devourer formation. The explosion consumed 24 enemy ships and crippled the flagship. But Captain Chun was not finished. From the bridge of Admiral Crix's command cruiser, she coordinated a final assault. Coalition ships, guided by human tactical expertise, struck at precise points in the Devourer formation. Dr. Okoffer's modifications to their weapons proved devastatingly effective. The battle lasted 14 hours. When it was over, the Devourer fleet was scattered, their surviving ships fleeing into hyperspace. The defenders had won, but at a tremendous cost. The U.'s Defiant was gone, along with half the coalition fleet in the aftermath. As rescue operations continued, and the wounded were tended, Admiral Crix found Captain Shun standing before a viewport, staring out at the debris field where her ship had died. "I'm sorry about your vessel," he said softly. Captain Shun nodded, her human eyes bright with unshed tears. "She was our home, our last connection to Earth, but she served her purpose. She brought us here to you." Dr. Okafor joined them, her scientific mind already working on plans for the future. "The Devourers will return in greater numbers. We've wounded them, but not destroyed them. They'll learn from this defeat. Then we'll be ready," Admiral Crix declared. "All of us, together." In the days that followed, the Coalition Council voted unanimously to grant humanity full membership and citizenship. The survivors of Earth were given homes throughout Coalition space. Their knowledge and skills quickly integrated into the joint defense effort. Captain Shun was appointed as the Coalition's new head of strategic defense, working closely with Admiral Crix to prepare for future Devourer incursions. Dr. Okafor established research facilities on 12 worlds, training Coalition scientists in anti-Devourer technologies. But perhaps most importantly, the humans had shown the galaxy something it had never seen before. They had demonstrated that even in the face of extinction, even when everything was lost, sentient beings could choose hope over despair, cooperation over conflict. The massive warship that had first terrified the Coalition had indeed been a monster. But it was a monster born of necessity, wielded by beings who used their terrible power not for conquest, but for protection. The humans had lost their homeworld, but they had gained something perhaps even more valuable. They had found a family. Among the stars, the galaxy would face the Devourers again. But when that day came, humanity would not stand alone. They would stand with their chosen family, the coalition of worlds that had looked beyond fear and found friendship. In the end, that made all the difference. Asterisk.